Blessed day, everyone. The course that we will be discussing today is Introduction to Cybercrime. It is one of the professional courses as stipulated under the CMO 5 series of 2018 for the program Bachelor of Science in Criminology. This course covers an overview of cybercrime, including a basic understanding of computer technology, history of cybercrimes, nature and types of cybercrimes, incident response, collection and preservation, digital investigative plan, and the applicable legal provisions. For the disclaimer, all information and pictures that will be disclosed herein are for general education purposes only. I have no intention to claim nor to own it, so credits to all authors and owners. You know what? With little knowledge on the technology may somehow be vulnerable from cyber attacks. We used to go to computer shops, or we often use our gadgets for some reasons and important matters. For pastime, uploading our pictures and videos without knowing that we are being attacked by the hackers. Posting important information about you, your whereabouts, allowing your gadgets to be accessed when clicking and downloading programs and applications. This may fall you to be vulnerable and become victim of cybercriminals. You might as well shop and wondering about the transactions you have been made, like sending messages via Yahoo Mail, Google Mail, and the like, where some were not sent and some were modified, while some are receiving different messages from the unknown senders or sources, or you are sending messages without your knowledge. Like I said earlier, with little knowledge on this technology will make us vulnerable from cyber attacks. Likewise, if we don't know how to deal with those different cyber attacks, we might as well still a victim of their different activities. Mostly observation that I have encountered, their Facebooks were hacked unknowingly. There were rude posted texts, uploaded pictures and videos that are unacceptable that may cause the true account owners may be bashed, judged if the viewers did not know what happened, and that may lead to the downgrading of the owner's image or reputation or integrity, depending on the impact of the post made by the hackers or those unauthorized persons. Other owners immediately took an action when they were notified or knew that their account were breached. They posted immediately or notified all their FB friends that their account were hacked. The question here and must be addressed is who is responsible and why he made such or why they made such rude actions. What are some common examples why those internet users are being hacked? Here are some common examples why those internet users are being victimized by the hackers. Aside from those I mentioned earlier, people who say their accounts have been hacked are likely guilty of reusing passwords, giving their credentials to an attacker, or installing a keylogger knowingly or unknowingly after social engineering tricks. When we say keyloggers, are a type of monitoring software designed to record keystrokes made by a user. One of the oldest forms of cyber threat, these keyloggers record the information you type into a website or application and send to back to a third party or to an unauthorized person. Victims may also have been compromised as a result of easily guessed security questions. This sometimes happens when the victim is not totally aware of different cyber attacks or cyber threats and not aware on how to secure their accounts. You may perhaps say that they know how to use the technology, but they are not well knowledgeable. So that's the purpose why we are learning about cybercrime, so that we can earn and gain knowledge pertaining how to protect our accounts or passwords. Likewise, what would be the appropriate actions that we must have to adhere to in cases that we encountered cyber attacks or cyber activities. Another example, in the computer shop, when your time is up, sometimes it will automatically discontinue you from using the computer assigned to you. As a result, you did not log out all your accounts. And another, when you let your password to be remembered in that computer, even when you log out all your accounts, anyone who is next to the computer which was first assigned to you may open your accounts, since your passwords were saved, thus allowing the other users to open it. They can as well manage to enable show your password, and they can copy and use your password anytime, anywhere, even to any gadgets. I will show you how this may appear on your screen. You can see here that even before putting my password, I'm using my device. This will appear when your account is saved in this computer. For example, I lost my laptop, or anyone who has my laptop, even they don't know my password, they can just click this and will make them start to access my account. Another, when you let your password to be saved and remembered, the boxes will be automatically filled in, which allows the other users to access your account and then able to show your password by going to this icon. Specifically, to the inspect, the change in type show, and this area linking to the password box, then will make all dots into visible text. So they can copy, remember it, and they may use it anytime they want. Furthermore, when you've forgotten to clean your history, they may as well access your account, or they can make use of your password that were or that was automatically filled in to the Facebook, for example. So what are you going to do? Proceed to clean history, or press Ctrl H, then start cleaning up your history at the moment that you have started to use the device. Of course, you will not end there. You will not rely to what you have done earlier to clean up this history. You need to proceed to the next procedure. So like I said, do not rely what you have done earlier. You must proceed to the next procedure. So click this icon and proceed to more tools. You can see there clear browsing details. Then click it, then you may now again start cleaning your history. However, let us not go beyond the context of this course, because the focus of this course is more on determining the person responsible, the elements of crime they used, collect and preserve evidence, and provide evidence evidencing their acts. You need also to apply the investigative procedures and principles. Thus, you need to apply in all that you have learned that are appropriate and not convenient but must be applied to this course. Sometimes you need to apply the basic principle of investigation, which is to cordon the area, which disallow anyone who are not authorized that may lead to the disruption of the investigation process. The investigation includes the determining what investigative tools that are appropriate for collecting, stored, and deleted data. Determining the investigative plan that is best method to deal in the situation. What warrant you may request and determine how to implement it. What are the related laws that can be a guidance or that will serve as their book in launching cybercrime investigation. Now, we are entering the chapter of cybercrime. Earlier is just only an advertisement of this course. Now, what is cybercrime? Cybercrime, it is also called computer-oriented crime. It is a crime that involves a computer that can store, retrieve, and process data. Under the Republic Act 10175, which the computer is classified as cyber, cyber refers to computer or a computer network, the electronic medium in which online communication takes place. Likewise, cybercrime involves mobile technology that is mostly used in cellular communication and other related aspects. A good example, here are the good examples: laptop, tablets, and network computers, smartphones, global positioning system, or we are familiar with the abbreviation GPS, and other devices. Cybercrime involves but not limited to the use of internet. So what is this internet? Internet is vast network that connect computers all over the world. Simply put, the internet is a global collection of networks of computers connected to each other. These networks allow data to be transferred between the computers or devices connected to them. That's the reason that we can send files to this receiver even at miles away. This exchange of data is possible only because all the computers on the network play by the same set of rules called the Internet Protocol, or the IP. To explain more in details, let us find out how the internet works. So here is the data transmission on the internet. The computers and devices that we use are called clients, and the computers that websites such as Google, Yahoo, or Facebook use are called servers, or they are all called servers. The websites we access are all files on the hard disk of the respective servers. Our devices do not directly access these files. When we access Google, for example, our client device forwards its request to Google servers via our internet service providers. The result also comes to us via our internet service providers, which is why we cannot access the internet if our connection to our internet service providers gets terminated. Also, these messages and requests aren't sent or received as a whole. Anytime you use the internet, your message is broken down into units called packets that travel through the network to its destination. Upon arrival at the destination, the packets are put together in the original order. You can think of a packet as a chunk of your message or query, or like a part of a jigsaw puzzle that needs to be solved at the destination. If for some reason the packets aren't put together in the right order at the right time, the results are in the form of distorted content, like when video lags or a web page doesn't load properly. But there are millions of people in devices accessing the internet at any given time. The only problem is how fast are their internet connections they have, which means countless packets of data. So how do these packets of data find their way to their intended destination? Every device connected to the internet has its own unique IP address, which acts as the postal address does in the physical world. That's the reason also it's not that easy to get access or may log in to their internet connection without the owner's consent or permission. And to make the data flow smoother and avoid data traffic jams, there are routers. For those who have internet or those who have PLDT or any other service providers, you may observe there that it has a router. When we say router or routers, sort the packets based on their destination and ensure that they end up on the right device and not on the other devices on the network. So therefore, what is then a cybercrime? Cybercrime is commonly called a computer-oriented criminal activity that either uses or targets a network, computer system, or network device. Or we can as well give this or define it simpler: anything, an act which includes computer. Cybercrimes are offenses that may be committed against individuals, companies, or institutions by using computers, internet, or mobile technology. A good example: email spoofing, malwares, or putting different viruses, identity theft, bank frauds, and the like. Thus, it involves the use of the internet, computers, and related technologies in the commission of crime. The Department of Justice in the United States have divided cybercrime into the following three categories. First, crimes in which the computer acts as a weapon. For example, performing the denial of service attack or the distributed denials of service attack, or abbreviated as DDoS. DDoS in its method where cybercriminals flood a network with so much malicious traffic that it cannot operate or communicate as it normally would. A distributed denial of service attack is a malicious attempt to disrupt the normal traffic of targeted server, service, or network by overwhelming the target or its surrounding infrastructure with a flood of internet traffic. As the effect, it may render your device unable to connect to the internet. Suffering of this attack may seem like an inevitable side effect of being online. So, the more successful your site, the more likely it might seem that you'll be the target of an attack at some point. Another, your website is overwhelmed and becomes unavailable or inoperable. This attack could render your site more vulnerable to the hacking as all of your systems are focused on getting the site back online. And security system may have been put out of action by the attack. If your site suffers this attack, you will receive thousands of requests from multiple sources from the unknown sources over a period of minutes or sometimes hours. These requests aren't the result of a website suddenly getting a spike in traffic. They are automated and will come from limited number of sources depending on the scale of the attack. So, how this DDoS differs from hacking. DDoS attack is not the same thing as hacking, although two can be linked. The perpetrators aren't attempting to access your website files or admin, but instead they cause it to crash or become vulnerable due to the volume of requests. You might some or maybe some of you have already experienced receiving a lot of messages through your email from the unknown sources. In some cases, they will be followed by attempts to hack the site when it's vulnerable. But in the majority of cases, the aim is simply to make the site stop working. But the question is, why would someone DDoS on your site? There are many reasons why an attacker might want to put your site out of action via the DDoS attack. These include attacks by competitors and attacks because of your content. Or sometimes it satisfies their desire when when they put DDoS or when they made this kind of attack to somebody else. Another is that crimes in which computer is an accessory to a crime. For example, storing illegally obtained data into the computer and includes digital identity theft, which leads to the theft of funds from a bank account. To render such act that will not put the criminal's life to danger and risk, where they can manage to perform their aim successfully, like for example, robbing the bank, that instead of attacking the bank personally and physically, they can make use of computer to get money from the bank using the internet internet-connected computer. In the commission of the aforestated act, computer was used and serves as, or computer will be used and will serve as an accessory to their desire. Here is an example of also how these cyber criminals may attack. Like for example, how does a man in the middle attack works? Offenders hijack connections between clients and serves by creating two connections, offender in client and offender in server. The purpose of this attack is to surreptitiously intercept, receive, and or send information between client and server. Take a look at the image on the screen. John, the victim of this situation and the recipient of the money, while Miss Jill, the sender of the money, who is also a victim of this situation and who sent the key to Jack. At the moment that Miss Jill is sending her key, Peter, who is called the man in the middle, interrupted and sent his key to Jack. So the key that was received by Mr. Jack was the key of Mr. Peter, wherein Mr. Jack assumes that it was the key of Miss Jill. Miss Jill asked Mr. Jack to send his account number. However, Mr. Peter interrupted and sent his key to Miss Jill instead. So the result, the money was successfully transferred to Peter. That is how the man in the middle works. Another is crimes in which the computing device is the target. For example, it involves to get access to a computer or network. This is an act of getting information or files stored in the computer in other devices. This could include top secret, secret confidential information that may result to the security or may result to the breach of security and destruction of the government, industry, likewise individual. There are offenses covered by the cybercrime as stipulated under the Republic Act 10175. The following are: first, that involves the act against confidentiality, integrity, and availability of computer data and system. First is the illegal access. This is committed intentionally. The access to the whole or any part of a computer system without right, often referred to as hacking, cracking, or computer trespass. The effect may result in damage to computer system and data or compromise. Hacking is the process of attempting to gain or successfully gaining unauthorized access to computer resource, whereas cracking is the act of breaking into computer system often on network maliciously for personal gain. Just like a bank, robber cracks a safe by skillful manipulating its lock. A cracker breaks into a computer system, program, or account with the aid of their technical wizardry. So again, that is for the illegal access. Next is the illegal interception. But there are actually three which we will be discussing here. Confidentiality, where interception is being applied. Defining interception based on the Republic Act 10175. The interception made by technical means without right of any non-public transmission of computer data to, from, or within a computer system, including electromagnetic emission from a computer system carrying such computer data. Interception attacks allow unauthorized users to access our data applications or environments and are primarily an attack against confidentiality. It might take the form of unauthorized file viewing or copying, eavesdropping on phone conversations, reading email, and can be conducted against data at rest or in motion. They may somehow able to retrieve all your deleted messages and all the have gathered in retrieved files they can make use on their plans. Next, for the integrity, likewise in the availability, interruptions, modifications, and fabrications are being applied herein. However, it interconnects with the interception. Interruption or interruption attacks cause our assets to become unusable or unavailable for our use on a temporary or permanent basis. Interruption attacks often affect availability but can be an attack on integrity as well. In the case of a going back to the DDoS attack, we would classify this as an availability attack. In the case of an attacker manipulating the process on which the databases or database, when we say database, is an organized collection or structured information or data typically stored electronically in a computer system. Probably these are information stored in the hard disk, runs in order to prevent access to the data it contains. We might consider this as an integrity attack due to the possible loss or corruption of data. Or we might consider it the combination of the two. We might also consider such a database attack to be modification attack rather than an interruption attack, especially when the informations were being modified. And when we say modification attacks involve tampering with our asset. Such attacks might primarily be considered an integrity attack, but could also represent an availability attack. If we access a file in an unauthorized manner and alter the data it contains, we have we have affected the integrity of the data contained in the file. However, take note of this, if we consider the case where the file in question is configuration file that manages how a particular service behaves, perhaps one that is acting as a web server. We might affect the availability of that service by changing the contents of the file. If we continue with this concept and say the configuration we altered in the file for our web server is one that alters how the server deals with the encrypted connections, we could say, or we could even make this as confidentiality attack. Because those files that were stored with encryption be considered as confidentiality because these files are not accessible, thus considered confidential. In the intelligence, this may cover the top secret, yet in the police intelligence subject may distinguish these three, the top secret, and confidential. However, in this term of cybercrime, confidentiality covers the top secret, and confidentiality. And the next one is the fabrication. Fabrication attacks involve generating data, processes, communications, or other similar activities with a system. Fabrication attacks primarily affects the integrity but could be considered an availability attack as well. If we generate spurious information in a database, this would be considered to be fabrication attack. Again, if we generate spurious information in a database, this would be considered to be a fabrication attack. From the word itself, fabricating, you are making, you are building up, you are establishing, and you that it was not originally existing or existed. We could also generate email, which is commonly called spoofing. This can be used as a method of propagating malware. We will be discussing later on this malware, such as we might find being used to spread a worm. In the sense of an availability attack, if we generate enough additional processes, network traffic or the data traffic that we have mentioned earlier, email, web traffic, or nearly anything else that consumes resources, we can potentially render the service that handles such traffic unavailable to legitimate users of the system. As we mentioned, if there are many files stored in a computer, in a device, it will actually give an effect. It may slow down the operation of your device. Next, offenses covered by the cybercrime is the data inference. When we say data inference, the intentional or reckless alteration, damaging, deletion or deterioration of computer data, electronic data message without right, including the introduction or transmission of viruses. It includes herein the inputting of malicious codes, for example, viruses that can threaten the integrity or use of data or programs. So, most likely to successfully perform this interference is to put viruses. Malware or malicious software is used to infect target system in order to monitor them, collect data, take control of the system, modify system, operation in or data, and damage the system in or data. This malware can create malfunctions of the computer system, likewise may destroy the files stored. So there are several forms of malware that can be used to infect system. First is the worm. It is a standalone malicious software that spreads without the need for user activity. The cybercriminal will no longer put a virus or to install virus in your computer, but instead making use of the internet may somehow generate the plan of the cyber criminal to uh, to make your device will have a worm. This happens when you have filled memory or downloaded and saved numerous files, which allows your memory to be fully filled, and that will rise or that will the start of the worm to rise. Thus will make your system works slowly. Take a look of your phones, your gadgets, your devices. If there are a lot of files, there are a lot of downloaded videos and saved photos may affect the operation of your device. Some you can observe there that the circulation or the operation of your device works slowly. Next is the virus. It is a malware that requires user activity to spread. For example, an executable file with virus spreads when opened by the user. This time, the person will intentionally put viruses and spread it to your devices. Let's say, for example, the person will ask, will you please allow me to insert my flash drive to your device? I just want to open my file because I don't have any device to plug in. So you allowed it, and the virus that the flash drive is carrying with is already transferred to your device. Next is the Trojan horse. It is a malware designed to look like legitimate software in order to trick the user into downloading the program, which infects the user's system to spy, steal, and or cause harm. This happened when you downloaded and installed your device with a program which allows other users to access your photos, contacts, and other information, wherein the result they can make use of your identity for their perpetuation of their crime. You may somehow notice or one will inform you that something happened to your accounts or you were involved in a certain crime that you did not commit it. Unlike the regular virus, the Trojan horse virus cannot replicate itself or even attach itself to another or to another file. A Trojan file or a Trojan horse virus pretends to be a legitimate file to trick the users of installing or downloading it. So it's a form of deception as well. So how are you going to avoid it? All these things are helpful, but to really be secure, you have to install an antivirus software or Trojan remover. Next is the spyware. Malware designed to surreptitiously monitor infected systems and collect and relay information back to the creator and or user of the spyware. It enables a user to obtain covert information about another's computer. Even your activities by transmitting data covertly from their hard drive. It is also designed to enter your computer device, gather data about you, like I said, including your activities, and it will be forwarded to the other party without even your consent sometimes without knowledge. So this spyware does not necessarily spread in the same way as virus or worm, because infected systems generally do not attempt to transmit or copy the software to other computers. Instead, the virus or even the worms may corrupt your files or destroy your files, because the spyware focuses on generating or installing of your information. So, spyware installs itself on a system by deceiving the user or by exploiting software vulnerabilities. So, how this spyware happen? Third-party web browser toolbars or add-ins. Utility programs like video players or advertising blockers. That is why you should not be attracted with those advertised applications or even programs. You might somehow, it may appear to be attracting, but once you click it and download it and install it into your computer, that's now the starts of the story of and the journey how you will be surreptitiously, or being hacked, or your informations are already being started to be stolen by those hackers. Next, packages promoted by anti-spyware or antivirus systems that in fact contain spyware software, sometimes called scareware. Then others, freeware applications. Like I said earlier, you should not be attracted with those very attracting advertisement. It's just because of a free, or you can download it free, or there is a free trial, doesn't mean it is safe. Each of these types of internet downloads can result in one or sometimes multiple spyware applications also being downloaded. Installing the primary applications automatically installs the spyware applications, usually without the user's knowledge. Now, how will you avoid this spyware? To avoid receiving this type of spyware, carefully research the contents of online software downloads before installing them, and always make sure you download software from their official websites rather than third-party websites. That is why you need to think 1,000 times or 100 times or 2,000 times before clicking it. Next is the ransomware. Of course, we might some familiar when we hear the term ransom. It involves money. Same goes thing to the ransomware. It involves money. Malware designed to take users, systems, files, and or data hostage and relinquish controls back to the user only after ransom is paid. So, how this ransom works? This happens when you open a website or receive messages from your email and then you open it. When you open the installed, or when you open the program and you allowed it to install it to your device, it will now, or the virus will now, or this ware or malware starts to circulate in your device, which will make your device inaccessible, which you cannot open now your files until someone will ask or to extort money from you in exchange that they can restore your accessibility of your data or files. So it always started with receiving messages, and then once you open it, install it, there will be something happen to your files. You can no longer open your files. Then next someone will going to contact you, that they may only restore or all the your files only when you gave money to them, or you gave the amount of money they are asking from you. Next is the crypto ransomware, which is also included in the ransomware. Okay, it's a malware that infects a user's digital device, encrypts the user's documents, and threatens to delete files and data if the victim does not pay the ransom. Next, we have also here the system inference. The intentional alteration or reckless hindering or interference with the functioning of a computer or computer network by inputting, transmitting, damaging, deleting, deteriorating, altering, or suppressing um, computer data or program, electronic document, or electronic data message without right or authority, including the introduction or transmission of viruses. Some without the data, or rather same with the data interference, wherein transmission of viruses are herein included. The thing that makes them different is that the data interference focuses more on the data, that the files stored in the computer will disallow the user or the true user to access his or her files, while system interference focuses more on the operation of the computer or will make the computer malfunctions that will affect as well the accessing of the original files. Another is the computer-related offenses. Under the computer-related offenses, we have the computer-related forgery, computer-related fraud, computer-related identity theft. Computer-related forgery, the input, alteration, or deletion of any computer data without right, resulting in authentic data with the intent that it be considered or acted upon for legal purposes as if it were authentic, regardless whether or not the data is directly readable and intelligible. Just like also those jewelries, some are trying to imitate those jewelries and try to expose to other people or in public that they're imitated or the product of their imitation is likewise genuine. Same goes thing also to this computer related forgery. The act of knowingly using computer data which is the product of computer related forgery, which is also defined under the or mentioned in the Republic Act 10175 for the purpose of perpetuating a fraud or dishonest design. This is an act of making documents by way of altering or deleting, subtracting text to make the documents appears to be genuine and make the people to believe that the document is authentic or free from any alterations or falsification. Thus, this act is a form of deceiving other people or deception. Next is the computer-related forgery, which involves impersonation of legitimate individuals authorities, agencies, and other entities online for fraudulent purposes. Cyber criminals can impersonate people from legitimate organizations and agencies in order to trick them into revealing personal information and providing the offenders with money, goods, or services. They will, as if they will dress themselves as if they are working with that company. They are trying to imitate the other employee and appear to be a true employee of that organization. So when those people who don't know him may a possibility that he might or she might be deceived when he or she don't know the protocol or they have no protocols how to entertain even it is their co-employee. So as a result, this imitator or impersonator may gain information from that company, from that industry, or from that other person. Like for example, in the buy bus operation, of course, someone will act as an agent. Okay? Someone will act as if they are working with the syndicate without knowing they are member of the PDEA, who is trying to intercept and infiltrate their syndicate just to gain information to uplift their plans of operation becomes successful. Same goes thing also with the cyber crimes. Let's say for example they are trying to change the profile as if they are the true actors, but when you look at or when you found them in person or when you see them in person, it appears to be different from the profile pictures uploaded or used in his or her Facebook profile. Okay, so here is another example. The email sender pretends to be from a legitimate organization or agency in attempt to get users to trust the content and follow the instructions of the email. That is also happening right now, especially when the result of the COVID-19 test can be sent through email. Perhaps there are people who are used or who wherein their business is to fraud other people. Perhaps we might encounter those situations or there might be some reports pertaining those cases. So either the email is sent from a spoofed email address. It is designed to look like an authentic email from the organization or agency because perhaps it has a logo, perhaps the person who is sending or person or with the cyber criminals have that skills, a good entertainer, or even may have already earned more good information he needs to perpetuate his or her crime. So again, enter the email is sent. Either the email is sent from a spoofed email address, which is designed to look like an authentic email from the organization or agency, or from a domain name similar to the legitimate organization or agency with a few minor variations. Okay? So perhaps the minor variations may only include the dates or even the some of the little or minor information that will not make the victims makes them doubtful or may feel doubtful or even may hesitant to deal with them. But the computer related frauds cause damage. Computer related frauds includes many online swindlers that involve false or mislead promises of love and companionship, property, through inheritance scams, and money and wealth through lottery scams, investment fraud, inheritance scams, etc. The ultimate goal of these scams is to trick the victim into revealing or otherwise providing personal information and or funds to the perpetrator. So this tactic, as the name implies, use of social engineering, as I always mentioned earlier. Social engineering, because it requires proper plans. It requires a layout and procedures how they may manage to perform their act successfully, because it requires manipulations, deceiving, influencing, or tricking individuals into divulging confidential information or disclosing confidential information, which covers herein the top secret, secret, and confidential, or performing acts that will benefit the social engineer in some way. Now, let me give emphasis on the computer identity theft. The computer identity theft is the act of a person obtaining information illegally about someone else. Thieves try to find such information as full name, maiden name, address, date of birth, such security number, passwords, phone number, email, and credit card numbers. They will make use of your information to gain something, for example, to acquire credit cards. You will notice when someone will tell you about your payment for this credit card that you never applied for. So let us not give our information and post on social media, otherwise you will become vulnerable to those people with criminal mind. Under the content-related offenses, we have first here the child pornography. It is the unlawful or prohibited acts defined and punishable by the Republic Act number 9775, or also known as Anti-Child Pornography Act of 2009, which if which or where the act involves devices or computer in their perpetuation. Another also is the cybersex. It is the willful engagement, maintenance, control, or operation, directly or indirectly, of any lascivious exhibition of sexual organs or sexual activity with the aid of a computer system for favor or consideration. Another is we have also here the unsolicited commercial communication. The transmission of commercial electronic communication with the use of computer system which seek to advertise, sell, or offer for sale products and services are actually prohibited by the law. Okay, so this happen, or most likely their messages are directly goes to our spam. Okay, you will only find out that your spam already contained with a lot of messages. And we have also here the cyber libel. To clarify things, it is not a cyberbullying but a cyber libel. Because when we say cyber libel, it is a term used when someone has posted or emailed informations that are not true, that may result to damaging of your integrity and even your image or even your work or even your professions. So you can file a case of cyber libel. It's not cyber bullying. We have also the other uh, offenses that are also included herein. First is the aiding or abetting in the commission of cybercrime, which any person who willfully abets or aids in the commission of any of the offense as herein included or included in the Republic Act 10175 shall be also liable. So anyone who helps the person in perpetuating cybercrime as defined under the Republic Act 10175 through the use of a computer will be held criminally liable. Next is the attempt in the commission of cybercrime. Any person who willfully attempts to commit any of the offenses enumerated under the under the Republic Act 10175 shall be likewise liable. Let's say, for example, you prepared all the tools to be used for perpetuating the crime, including the text, messages, and the like, shall be liable under this law, under the attempt in the commission of cybercrime, even it was not yet perpetuated. Now, or what are those laws surround the cybercrime? Okay, first is the Republic Act 10175, which is an act defining cybercrime, providing for the prevention, investigation, suppression, and imposition of penalties, therefore, and for other purposes. So this act actually shall be known as Cybercrime Prevention Act of 2012. Next is the Republic Act 995. It is an act defining and penalizing the crime of photo and video voyeurism, prescribing penalties therefore, and for other purposes. This actually an act of taking photo or video coverage of a person or group of persons performing sexual act or any similar activity or of capturing an image of the private area of a person or person without the latter's consent under circumstances in which such person has or have a reasonable expectation of privacy, or the act of selling, copying, reproducing, broadcasting, sharing, showing or exhibiting the photo or video coverage or recordings of such sexual act or similar activity through VCD, DVD, internet, cellular phones, and similar means or device without the written consent of the persons involved, notwithstanding the consent to record or take photo or video coverage of same was given by such person. Like also what happened on the case of Head and Co. It was posted without the consent of the victim, so therefore he was charged with a case. Okay? However, it was that time there was no law yet. That is why he was acquitted, because there was no law penalizing his act. So, capturing an image without the latter's consent while walking, or those people or a girl who is walking bound to SMU, then you saw a T-back, or he's dressing or she's dressing a T-back shirt, and then you immediately captured it and post it on Facebook, you will be liable under the cybercrime. Okay, so like what other people who is trying to satisfy or make fun of this social media. One I know, whose account was hacked by another user and then changed the profile with a sexual organ of a man, and the friends of this person I know were shocked. What's the point, or what's the reason why this person I know posted such kind of rude photos? It was later on she noticed that her account was hacked, and that's the time she now changed, or I actually also advised her to change now immediately her password, okay, before it will get worse. Next is the Republic Act 9775. It is an act defining the crime of child pornography, prescribing penalties therefore and for other purposes. Especially right now, the only way a form of transaction is through computer, through internet, which children are being videoed and captured using a camera or video recorded camera, and sometimes it is being done live, and sometimes also being the photos or even video recorded were being sent to the customers. Okay, so anyone who is capturing an image of a child, videos of child that is actually will their acts will fall under this law, will be held liable. Next is the Republic Act 9208, which now amended by the Republic Act 10364, which is an act expanding Republic Act number 9208, entitled An Act to Institute Policies to Eliminate Trafficking in Persons, especially women and children, establishing the necessary institutional mechanisms for the protection and support of trafficked persons, providing penalties for its violations and for other purposes. So this includes the recruitment, obtaining, hiring, providing, offering, transportation, transfer, maintaining, harboring, or receipt of persons with or without the victim's consent or knowledge, with or across national borders, by means of threat or use of force or other forms of coercion, abduction, fraud, deceptions, and many more that are mentioned under this law, which computer is involved. Okay. Next is we have also the Republic Act 8792. It is an act providing for the recognition and the use of electronic commercial and non-commercial transactions and documents, wherein the use of this act, or the perpetuation of this act, involves actually the use of computer. This law aims to facilitate domestic and international dealings, transactions, arrangement, agreements, contracts, and exchanges, and storage of information through the utilization of electronic or through the use of a computer. Next also is the Republic Act 8484. It is an act regulating the issuance and use of access devices. Okay, like for example, your ATM or even your accounts were used, or wherein the crimes that were perpetuated, which still involves, or wherein it still involves the use of the computer. And then the Republic Act 4200, it is an act to prohibit and penalize wiretapping and other related violations of the privacy of communication and for other purposes. I believe that you have learned already this when you enrolled the course on spatial penal laws. So I will no longer discuss too much or so much with this, because it may cater a lot of time. But then This will be tackled soon once we are now in the topic on the salient features of Republic Act 10175 to discuss, of course, the possible confusing concepts among these laws. When these all acts include the use of computer and other related devices, and what should be the imposable penalty that be applied. Of course, depending on what participation of acts will it will that will lead to the determination of the applicable laws. As I said earlier, this course focuses more on cybercrime. To clarify things, let us understand the differences between cybercrime and cyber security. Under the types of crime, cybersecurity, where the target is the computer network, software, or hardware, where they may breach the protections installed using the malware. While cybercrime, the target herein are those humans' data, where the attackers will get or gain information or may destroy the information or even data. In terms of victims, cybercrimes or cybersecurity includes corporations and government, while cybercrime are the families and individual. In terms of academic programs, those under the cybersecurity, the technical experts herein are those graduate of computer science, computer engineering, and information technology. While cybercrime, the involved person herein are those criminologists or criminology graduates, psychology. And in terms of intellectual focus, cyber security is an applied science oriented. They are more on coding, networking, and engineering strategies for making networks more secure. That is why it is more on intellectual focus. While the cyber crime is the it is basic science oriented. Theoretical understandings of how and why crime is committed. Well, of course, it includes herein the collection and preservation of evidence. Where do the attackers normally commit cybercrime? Think about it. It is the cyberspace. The cyberspace literally means that the attacker must have to go outside Earth and perform its crimes or cybercrimes. Of course not. Because when we say cyberspace, it is the virtual computer world which is used to form a global computer network to facilitate online communication, describing any associated with the internet and the diverse internet culture. It is simply a richer version of the space where a telephone conversation takes place, somewhere between the two people having the conversation. As a planet spanning network, the internet offers criminals multiple hiding places in the real world as well as in the network itself. That's the reason they are hard to be found. What exactly place do they perform the cyber uh, crimes, because even at the outside country, even in different country, they can actually get an access through the use of internet. However, just as individuals walking on the ground leave marks that a skilled tracker can follow, cybercriminals live close as to their identity and location, despite their best efforts to cover their tracks. Like also what happened in the I Love You virus, people around the world were alarmed because their files were corrupted, and a diligent effort to find out who and where this person responsible about the um, uh, the corruption of the files. It was found out that it was in the Philippines. Okay, so they can still be located. They still leave traces. So in order to follow such cloak across national boundaries, through international cybercrime treaties must be ratified. Okay, we have the treaty where countries must have to connive each other pertaining on the finding out those criminals responsible occurring in one certain country. Okay, so let me get back to the cyberspace in some other definition. Cyberspace is just the is actually the the hard drive. Okay, so what is the example of a cyberspace? The definition of cyberspace is the environment of the internet. As an example of cyberspace is the home of Google, Yahoo, and Facebook. The virtual space created by interconnected computers and computer networks on the internet. Okay, like I said, some define that the cyberspace is the hard drive where this hard drive stored all the files or even all those datas. Okay, sometimes these are the objective of the attackers on how are they going to gain information and how they are going to destroy the data stored in the document. So to discuss also or to discuss further about cyberspace, let us also find out the difference between cyberspace and the internet. The cyberspace derived from the word cybernetics. In the ancient Greek, it is kybernetics, which means steersman, governor, pilot, or rudder. This cyberspace is also called as virtual space, or the term cyberspace has been applied to the virtual space that is created within the internet. So cyberspace is nothing more than a symbolic and a figurative space that exists within the scope of internet. It can be said that anything that is done via the use of internet occurs within the confines of the cyberspace, whether that is sending an email, a website, or playing a game. All of these things exist within the cyberspace. While the internet, it is a network of networks, meaning that is a global network that is creating by linking smaller networks of computers and servers. This network allows users to share information and other data from one point to another. The data can be in the form of text, image, or video. In other words, we can say internet is a set of computer networks that communicate using the internet protocol, which is the intranet, whereas cyberspace is a world information through the internet. So I do hope that we already figured the distinction between these two. So I will end my presentation with a verse just to remind us that we must live with Christ and not the world. Psalm 46 verse 1, God is our refuge and a strength, a very present help in trouble. God bless and see you again.